The most thorough way to catch errors is by using the match expression we learned about earlier on in this course. So let's create one. So we can say let file equals match file, and then if an OK is returned with the file, then just continue on with the file. But if an error is returned, then let's panic error, and then let's also pass in the error message that it gives us. So we know that we don't have an error.txt file to open, so we know that this is going to error out. So if we run this, we see that it panicked with our error message, error, and then we see OS code for operating system code 2, kind, not found, and then the message, the system cannot find the file specified. So we see that the error printed out an ErrorKind of not found, which is information we can do something with. ErrorKind is provided by the standard library, so let's try to match on ErrorKind. So what we can do is we can come up here and we can say use standard IO and then ErrorKind, and now we can match on ErrorKind. So we can delete this and say match error.kind, and now we have another match statement in here. So we can say ErrorKind and then not found, and then match on this and say, because we want to create a new file called error.txt, so we want to create error.txt, and then because this can also fail, we want to say OK, file created, and then just say file created. Otherwise, we got an error here as well, and we want to panic, and it says cannot create the file. And now we have to have an exhaustive match, so down here we'll just do an underscore and say panic, it was some other error kind, which we know in this case it won't happen because we already know the error that we're going to get. So now if we run this, we didn't error out, and we see that error.txt was created for us. So great, so that's how we can use match statements, and we can even nest them to be able to handle logic for us. So another tool we have at our disposal is called Unwrap. So I'm going to comment all of this out, and I'm actually going to just quickly rename this and just call it error2. That way we can keep generating errors. And now we can come up here and we can say unwrap. And what's going to happen in unwrap is if OK is returned from the method, then unwrap will return the value inside of OK for us. But if the result is an error, unwrap will call panic for us. So since we no longer have error.txt, I expect this to panic for us, which it does, and it said the thread main panicked at our unwrap method on an error value and then our normal error code. And then if we change this back to be a file that will be found, we no longer have an error. So if we want to customize our error, then we can use something called the expect. So instead of unwrap, we say expect, and then we pass in a string, error opening the file. And then we get rid of these extra parentheses. So again, we know that this is going to error out because we changed our file name again. So now if we run this, we see that it says error opening the file. And also gave us all the extra information regarding this. So expect is beneficial because it's going to allow us to much more quickly track down the source of the panic call in any of our logs. So in the next lecture, we're going to look at how we can propagate errors.